Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee. I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone that is here, YouTube Live. I have Ruth, Steph, Tiffany, Christy, Kaylin, Sam. It's great to see you guys. It's awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about today's topic. I think you guys are going to laugh when you hear the name of this one. So it's called Why Ask Randos on Facebook. Hey Juan, great to see you, bud. So, all right. It's a little bit of a heart-to-heart because I love you all very, very much. But as per usual, I have been seeing a lot of people posting questions like, how much should I charge? Or how should I get my policies done, etc., from Facebook groups. Now, we all make fun of doodle owners that go to Facebook groups and ask these questions because we feel like, why wouldn't they ask a professional, right? Now, I'm not saying kind of getting a temperature reading is a bad idea. I don't think that's a bad idea. But what I don't understand is constant. How much do you charge for X? Right? So I'll see someone post, oh, I have a doodle. How much should I charge? And I would be like, are you fucking shitting me? Like, even I couldn't tell you how much to charge. I created a 6-hour class that takes 6 weeks to tell you that answer. But you want it in a Facebook post. So, I love you all. Or someone will say like, hey, can I please just copy your policies? And I'm sitting there going, well, you have to make your policies based upon your area, your business, things like that. Like, you can strategize with other groomers on Facebook. That's a great place to strategize. But just asking someone to hand over their policies is crazy, right? Because maybe those policies don't line up with your business model. Recently, I saw somebody who does every pet start to finish, and they just had policies, and they like posted their policies. And of course, you know your girl, she's sipping the tea here, so I like open it up because she just posted on Facebook. And the girl that does everything start to finish, right, had policies about like all these things that would not happen. You know, like she had boarding policies. And like I messaged her, I said, do you do boarding? And she said, no. I'm like, are you aware in your policy document, you have boarding policies? And I was like, oh, do you actually like keep track of all these vaccines you're requiring? She goes, no. I'm like, so you just put shit on paper and have no intention of following through with it. It's crazy, guys. You can't do that. I understand the temptation, but don't do that. Another one I see is waivers. I love you so much. You guys know I love Lynn Paolillo. She is an industry leader and her husband's an attorney. What an amazing way to marry those talents. So she runs Groomer Docs. Anyone who's ever gotten any of her policies, she makes sure your policies fit you. She makes sure that if you're going to have a waiver, you understand your waiver and the waiver makes sense. Just like how customers say puppy cut and they don't understand that's an actual thing, right? Like we know a true puppy cut on a Staring Poodle. It's an actual haircut. But when a client says puppy cut, they could mean 1,000 different things, you know? And so when we have legal documents, the whole point of policies, the whole point of waivers is to protect you if you go to court. Again, it would be like if you had, let's say someone's like, oh, I'm a good breeder. And you're like, okay, what do you breed? And they say boxers. You're like, oh, what color? And they go stripy ones. You'd be like, I'm sorry, stripy ones? You mean brindle? Oh yeah, like brindle. Or like, oh, I breed labs. What color? Vanilla. You'd know they're a backyard breeder. So when we try to pass these things off as professional and they're Mickey Moused or they are Frankensteined, they're not helpful. Coral saying also, if policies don't line up with consumer law, is some places they aren't worth the paper they're written on. Always have them checked over by a lawyer. Absolutely. Now, the best way to do it is to have a lawyer in your area write these things in a perfect world. However, again, not a sales pitch for Groomer Docs, but she's worth every penny. So it's groomerdocs.com, Adriana. Because here's the thing, what happens with Lynn is, again, she's an industry leader. She understands things. She's created courses, like her brain is built like that. And then her husband's an attorney, so it's written in that way. Now, in a perfect world, you would get them from her, and then you would have a local attorney make sure there's nothing in that document that would potentially be indemnified through local laws. But, and again, like, I've done it all. I've definitely done, I remember one time when I had my shop, I had this like super impacted coat Sheltie come in. And I remember like taking a picture of the dog before I went in the bath. And I'm like, how much would you charge for this? And I got prices as low as $25 and prices as high as $120. That doesn't help me. All that does is stress me the fuck out, right? All that does is make me feel like, wait, am I too high or am I too low? And it doesn't take into account anything. It doesn't take into account my personal business model. It doesn't take into account how long I've been grooming and the level of skill I have, what I would do with that pet, right? So if someone's going to sit there and hand scissor, completely de-shed that Sheltie and then hand scissor that dog, that's going to be it's going to be a way more expensive one than it would be for, sorry, my nose is a little tickled. Take a sip of my drink. Hey, Annie, good to see you. Yeah, I know. She's saying that she needs waivers done that are legit. Well, that's the thing. You need to pay for them because you want them to protect you. Now, nothing's going to completely protect you. They're just a tool set. But what I love about getting professional waivers is it sets the tone for the client that you mean business. A good story is like Lynn and I are good friends, and we had I had come up to help her work at this doggy daycare at one point she was working at as a groomer. They had 2 groomers. One groomer quit, of course, last minute, and I drove down to New Jersey to help her out. But we were going through their policies and we were going through their waivers, and I really think this is when she really felt like she was ready to do Groomer Docs, because as we're going through it, certain things were actually canceling each other out. Like certain policies would actually be canceled out. So I think the biggest one was like it was like a certain fee over this many hours, but then it also like you'd have to have the pet boarded, but if the pet had to be boarded, like there was all these like crazy Frankenstein things. So like if I was as a groomer who understood how things went, I'm like, so if this happens, what are you supposed to do? And what is the client supposed to do? It was completely confusing. And then for me with pricing, you guys know how much pricing is my passion at this point, because I want to make you guys more money. I want you guys to work less and make more money. It's just so funny because I'll see these pricing things and I'm like, there's so many things that we don't know. You know, for those of you guys here that have taken the price increase class or have done one-on-one coaching with me, you know there's a lot of information we have to get from each other in order to figure out how much you should charge. Because everyone's business is different. Everyone needs their business prices to be different. I groom totally different than all of you guys. Oh, Tiffany's saying prices is changing your life. Absolutely. You know, Tiffany's a great example where she had and I hope you don't mind, Tiffany. I know you never do. She had a one-on-one business and she switched over to doing staggered grooming because it just didn't make any financial sense in her area to charge what she really wanted to make, or at least what I wanted to make sure she made. There wasn't any way for her to do that one-on-one, at least not until she gets better at enforcing her own policies. And that's another thing. Sometimes we have to acknowledge that we're not in a season of life where we can handle the stress and the pressures of having tough conversations with clients. For me personally, sometimes simplifying things makes things easier. Like, I know simplification makes everything easier, but we have to figure out what that simplification is. And even with my business, I hire business coaches. In this past week, I've had 2 business strategists to look at my business independently. And I have another business intensive that I'm doing in November. So I think it's so important for us to reach for that support of professionals. And, with asking randos on Facebook, what you're doing is allowing the blind to lead the blind. The reason that our pricing in this industry is so screwed up is because what we do is we call around to all the local shops. We don't generally want to be the most expensive, and we generally don't want to be the cheapest. But guess what? If we do that, we don't know if the person who was the most expensive doesn't have a backbone and hasn't, very honestly, hasn't increased their prices in 20 years. And there are people that haven't increased their prices in 4, 5, 6 years. That's really unfortunate. So we need to know what we need to make. And also their lifestyle, that this might be their hobby. We don't know. What we do know is that Petsmart and Petco do not make a profit with their grooming. It is a loss lead. And because it's a loss lead, we need to remember that when we are pricing our own, we need to be 20 or 30% more, but it's not that simple because we have to make sure that our grooming business makes money in a way that it is formulated. And there's definitely been coaching clients where, by rearranging things, by not taking the difficult dogs, or if we do the difficult dogs, charging them appropriately. And I think that's where it's hard to know. It's so interesting to me. It would be no different than any of you dog show people, holler at me, or cat show people. If I said, how much should this breed of dog puppy cost? I can't give you a price, because are you looking for a pet puppy? Are you looking for a puppy that has champion parents with all their health clearances, right? Which is what you should want. Do you want a puppy that has parents that ultimately, long story short, are Westminster level? Or do you want a puppy that is going to be show dog quality? And a lot of pet puppies are show quality. Do you want a puppy that you can show? It's a very different than a show quality puppy, because then you're going to pay more for the privilege of keeping that dog intact. So that can range wildly. When I had labs, I've seen people who had lab puppies for $250, $500. And then I saw people who had puppies for like $900, and they could be OFA and all that. And after raising lots of lab puppies, they are disgusting creatures and velociraptors. Like, they're just constantly pooping on each other and rolling in it and eating it. And it was just a nightmare. So my puppies were $1,500 because that's what it cost me. And what I would do is take that money and buy the next generation, right? So, but that's what I had to charge. And it has nothing to do with how much somebody else charges for their puppies, because it's irrelevant. Because that person might breed 10 litters a year and they don't need more money, versus I did maybe 1. And so that extra money has to pay for dog shows and handlers and entrance fees and, stud fees, etc. So we know that in dog show world, but sometimes we have to put that into with our, with our business. So Coral's saying, and if you are checking the corpse, you have to check for equivalent services, not base price. Absolutely. You know, a lot of us will say, oh, okay, they're charging $50, so that's what I'll charge. But that groomer is also using, you know, Ive St. Bernard. They're using Le Pooch shampoo, or they're using, you know, whatever, iGroom's an expensive brand. You know, good brand, but expensive. And they're going to have them done start to finish, you know, and just the equivalency is not there. That would be like me going to this wonderful, beautiful salon and then going to Supercuts, and they're charging the same as Supercuts. They're not going to stay open very long. You know, Coral saying, like a basic bath and brush for a golden in my ear starts at $50, but if you're doing a Disha and scissoring, jumps to $95. What's FTW, Tiffany? Oh, for the win. I don't know, these cool kids stuff. I agree. But even then, so like Coral, let's say if, you know, and again, everyone's area is going to be different. But it's like, how much is that Shih Tzu? Right? How much is a Shih Tzu haircut? If a Shih Tzu haircut is like $75, $85, then it makes zero sense that that golden retriever would be $95. And that's where, you know, with these Facebook groups, you know, if you want a thermometer reading, you can definitely do it. All Facebook group advice teaches me is that people don't know what the heck they're talking about. And again, it's like and I hate to say this is why I started this YouTube channel, is because I just want to post my videos in there, not because I want to promote myself, but because to me, I want you to know, hey, here's some good advice. And there are definitely a lot of people who are also very intelligent, great advice, but it's hard to know who's an expert and who is just really confident in their bad advice. You know, I don't know if you guys have a grandparent like that. For me, like my grandfather, I love him to bits and pieces, but like he's the kind of person, if he's going the wrong way, I would say like, hey, you're driving the wrong way. He would be like, yeah, but we're making great time. And we see that a lot with people with like Dawn. We see like, they're like, oh no, I wash all my dogs in Dawn. I've been grooming for 30 years. Nothing's ever been a problem. You know, and that's obviously a personal choice you have to make. But I think we can all agree as an industry, there's a lot better products than Dawn. So that's where I just want you to consider, is this person who's giving you any kind of advice a professional? Right? And generally, advice is worth what you pay for it. Yes, this YouTube channel is free, but this gives me a platform to give you information, and then I sell a lot of my other information. I sell you the roadmap, and that's just how I make my money. And good, bad, or indifferent, I think that's a great option, because for those of you guys that are not quite ready to invest, for those guys not quite ready to commit, there's tons of free content. But to get the real answers, to get the plan, because I can't give it to you in a paragraph. I mean, I would be the world's best business coach if I could solve your problem with a paragraph. But that's kind of what we do on Facebook. And it's really unfortunate. I think it's great to get a thermometer reading, but just remember, the people you're asking, A, have a lot of time free on Facebook, which is never a good sign, especially for a groomer. And then B, is their knowledge valuable? And if their knowledge is valuable, why are they willing to give it away for free? Now, some of us could be altruistic, some of us are on a crusade, etc., etc., etc. But I will say this, is that I'm always vaguely offended when, well, that's not true. I'm not really offended. I'm perplexed. What'll happen is someone will say something to the effect of, how would I say this? So they'll say something to the effect of, I'm trying to think of exactly how they would say it. So I can't think of exactly. So they'll say along the lines of, you know, oh, you should just do this for free because, you know, you should just want to share your knowledge. And I'd be like, but I didn't learn this for free. I either had to learn this the hard way, which is very time consuming and ultimately very expensive, Or I paid for this knowledge from either outside the industry, from a business coach, from time. I mean, I read a tremendous amount of books. And guess what? Each book probably takes up 10 to 20 hours just to read that book. So that is lost time. And so for me to take all the things I've learned and condense it to this into, taking 10 years worth of knowledge and putting it into a 6-hour class. It's so interesting. And then they're complaining that people don't want to pay their prices. You're like, well, you're technically a vibrational match for what you're getting. You are putting out that. Yeah, exactly. Coral's saying groomer equivalent is I do this for the love of animal, not to be greedy, which I don't understand why wanting to become wealthy doing what you love is a bad thing. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong. Coral also said the Petsmart pricing and add $24 on top at least. Absolutely. Oh, Andy's saying totally worth the investment. Thank you. Yeah, Tiffany's saying for real, like you can give tidbits for free, but like comprehensive roadmap content free. It's just a lot of time. Like people talk about, it's so interesting. Like I now charge $25 for a virtual coffee. I used to give them away for free. But what I found is when people actually take the time to spend the $25, I have a super productive half hour with them. When it was free, they just wanted to whine. And listen, I like wine and tea, like all of us, but I want to be there to help people. And people that are willing to put their money where their mouth is, even if they spend the $25 and we talk and we get to know each other, and it's like, this is not the right fit, or these are the products and you're not ready to invest in the product, that's okay. Here are some workshops you could listen to. Here are some live classes, live shows you should listen to that are going to be super helpful to you. It's a very even energy exchange. But I've had people tell me, like, why don't you do free coaching? And I'm like, well, I do. It's my live show every week. I give you free content every week. Yes, exactly. Coral saying can't help the animals if you're out of business. Absolutely. I can't help you guys. If I could not make enough money to live doing Savvy Groomer, I could never have done this full time. I would have had to keep grooming full time. And then, unfortunately, had to have this as a hobby. And I could definitely have never done the price increase masterclass, which has changed over 60 people's lives so far. I mean, that's amazing. 60 people are now making an average of, I think it was $20,000 more a year. That's incredible, right? As an industry full of women, I'm so proud of us. Kaylin saying, I am absolutely too cheap. So many people in my area undercharge that I am too nervous to increase my prices as a new owner. I cannot remember, and I apologize if you did sign up for the price increase masterclass. That will teach you how to do it all. And I think that, and honestly, a lot of times it's, you need to do this or you're going to close in the future. So it doesn't matter. A lot of groomers open up super cheap and then they end up closing, which is really unfortunate. Tiffany saying, I know it's scary, but you can do it. You could even do a little at a time if you're nervous about losing business. I definitely take the price increase masterclass if you can. Absolutely. And Coral says, I charge what I do so I can afford charity work at my discretion. Absolutely. And I think sometimes groomers forget that we can absolutely do charity. I just want you to do charities for charities. That's my main thing is don't give charity to cheap people. Give it to the people that need it. You know what I mean? Mary is saying, I'm working on going solo and your channel has inspired me so much. I'm so glad. I want to empower you guys. I know I've been in the trenches. I know how overwhelming and frustrating a lot of this stuff can be. So, yeah. Girl, the comments I've seen from other girls say how ridiculous the price raise is. I'm like, what the fuck? Really? Wow. They've also said you're not a rocket scientist. Wow. Yeah, I'm not. I just have more knowledge. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. And that's it. it's not ridiculous. It's 6 hours of content. And that's the thing is like, it's funny because you're like, that price is ridiculous. And guess what you say? No, it's not. And those of you guys that have taken it have that empowerment and understand how to do it. And I'm not a rocket, never pretend to be. You could take all my free crap and learn how to do it. Or you could take a 6-hour class and be in a group and have momentum for it. Either way is fine. But I'm really happy with what we've done with it. I love the results we're getting. And I don't really care what people think. Sometimes it hurts my heart. But yeah, no, people have said nasty things to me. I've had people tell me I should drink bleach. I've heard people, say that I want to, take advantage of people. And I'm like, I don't think you know who I am. I mean, nobody has hundreds of hours of content for real, right? Like on their YouTube for free. If they're trying to screw you out of money. It's not how that works. Not how any of that works. And yes, it's 100% worth it because the class gives you the courage to do things you need to, like see the reality of your numbers, how your business is doing. Absolutely. Well, that's the thing is like we really break everything down so that you can look at it. Oh, Ruth is saying, best thing in my life was taking a price increase class. I just want to help people grow and learn and change. That's what I'm here for. Coral saying, I like knowing if a dog bites my hand off one day, I can go and retire, not scramble to find some other time of income. Absolutely. Ruth says, you taught me about how to handle rejection. That was worth the money. Absolutely. That's absolutely it. Don Juan says, I clearly chose the wrong first live to watch. I don't know why. I think it's a fun live. Maybe you came late, but everyone's different, But anyway, guys, it's been so awesome talking with you. That is why you guys probably should not ask randos on Facebook what it is that you want to ask. Again, if you do, take everything with a grain of salt. Just because you see 30 or 40 people giving you the same exact answer does not mean it's a better answer. The market tends to be wrong. We've talked about that with doodles, right? So consider the source. Take it with a grain of salt, right? So, and if you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe. Oh, Don's saying, don't know what you all are talking about. Appreciate the info. Watch from the beginning, Don. So we are talking about, I have a price increase masterclass. You'll see the sales pitch in a minute. Don't worry. Marie's saying, hey, just noticed you were here. We got a message from a new client. So-and-so on Nextdoor charged them $180 for a bath and trim. I can't do that today. I told her the estimate. Absolutely. She was fine. Lisa, who had the big chow that took us 3 hours. Good job, girly. Coral saying if organic raspberries can cost $7 for a tiny box, we can charge what we need to thrive. Oh my God, I gotta show you guys. I had a Wagyu beef. It was $32 or $35 an ounce. And it was worth every penny. So that's how it rolls, guys. Marie's saying, should we tell her no, it was not too expensive? It was actually way too little. I wouldn't say way too little. I would just ignore it. Because here's the thing is that, again, remember, like I just bought Wagyu beef yesterday and it was like $32 or $35 an ounce. Who cares? There's going to be people posting on Facebook about how stupidly expensive that piece of steak is. It doesn't matter. They're not going to buy it. That's not your customer. And you don't want chows. You don't want a 3-hour dog. That's insane. Don't worry about it. And if anything, so when I picked my hairdresser, I was looking through. If someone said, wow, if the only complaint you have is your price, that's a good sign. Because if they're picking you because of your price, that's the problem. I'm sorry, you're doing it wrong. If they're picking you because of your price, you're doing it wrong. So, Yeah, Tiffany's paperclip is $2,000. Exactly. Listen, on some level, I really want to buy that paperclip just to, you know, exactly. And I did a whole live, guys, on saying you're expensive isn't an insult, right? Absolutely. So if you guys have not been here before, I highly suggest that you first of all sign up for my free Facebook group, Savvy Pet Professionals. I try to be in there fairly regularly. This has been a little crazy, but I will be in there more. We're working on some things on the back end of the business. Not a big deal. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do so. Please like, comment, etc. You know, that would be really helpful for this channel. And if you are interested, I would also consider signing up for the Price Increase Masterclass. Our next one is actually starting next Monday, October 4th. And this will be the last one of the year. This may be the last one that we do live. I have not made it officially a decision, but we will have 3 recordings, and I may just move on to doing other classes live for next year. That has not been definitely chosen, but if you definitely want to get into this live, I highly suggest that you sign up for it. Dawn's saying, I'm sorry, I missed it. Tip for fast groomers and pricing pups out. Take my pricing and points class. We talk about the points system. That will be really important. And honestly, this is also why taking the Price Increase Masterclass, we actually talk about how different groomers make pricing hourly impossible. Because what takes you 2 hours, I could have 3 dogs that take 2 hours, and they need to be charged completely differently because of the skill level, the stupid tax on the owners, or maybe the dog is like a schnauzer that screams the entire time, or the Shih Tzu that does the face thing, right? Ruth saying that one was the best. Wow, that is expensive. Yeah, that was a very good live. Marie said these people had never asked and we were new and afterwards charged $180. Now she posts this next door without context. So not sure if I should say no, it was not too expensive. I mean, you can definitely, if you feel called to do that. But I would just be like, here's the thing. You know, whenever you try to defend yourself, it's very hard to stay classy because then you're going to get into a fight, right? Because here she is posting this, and anyone who's going to take her at face value, they're not going to ask questions. And they're probably not your ideal client. So I want you to ask yourself, is this person my ideal client? Is anyone reading this and going, oh man, I definitely can't go there? Are they your ideal client? Because you are more likely to get yourself in trouble. Now, you could definitely post something along the lines of, you know, oh, so glad that you loved Fifi's groom. You know, yes, 180 was the amount of time, care, attention she required. You know, my terminology is, yeah, she was a hot mess express. You know, or, you know, girly was looking a little homeless. Whatever it is. But you need to make sure it's on brand for you. Because my brand is very matter of fact. You guys have heard me talk many times. And, you know, that's how it goes. But I cannot thank you guys enough. Whoop, if I can find. There we go. So today's topic was why ask randos on Facebook? Because you know how much I love when you, and again, like I'm not judging you guys. I'm not saying don't ever do it. I'm just saying if you do it, remember it would be like the doodle owner asking grooming questions in a doodle group, right? If you ask a doodle question in a grooming group, you're going to get a totally different answer than in a doodle group. So make sure with whom you are dealing with is the professional. Because we don't want doodle owners to get grooming information from doodle owners. We should not be getting legal, tax, or business advice from people that probably don't run their businesses very well. I love you all very, very much, but you're not exactly the best business owners, at least till you get the education, at least till things have grown, right? And I see the progression so rapidly, and I'm so proud of everyone that does it. You know, where we take these classes, you implement these things, and all of a sudden you're either making the money you want, you're living the lifestyle you want, or you are, in the very least, a little happier and your business is running better. But you have to actually implement the things I teach. That's the tough part. All right, guys, so I am going to hop out of here. I actually have the night off because I don't have my class till next week. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to watch, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to bed. I don't know. I'm excited. All right, guys, I will talk to you next week. Happy grooming.